Brews on deck, beer on ice. Laced up clean, yeah, the vibe feels nice. Fuck you, Tony, said we wouldn't fly. Now we running this mile high.
Yo, 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 happy fucking Easter. Welcome back, Shoes and Brews, the podcast, episode 9. As always, well, he wasn't going to be as he was decided to jump on late, but Ash, welcome back, buddy.
Scotty, how are you, mate?
Good to have you, because I think just Tomo and I talking might have been a bit funny, but welcome. Without further ado, Simon Thompson, welcome aboard, mate.
Thanks, Scotty. As I said before, I'm so stoked to have slipped into the top 10 here for the 9th episode. So thanks for having me on.
Mate, unreal. So before we get into Tomo's story and more about him, it is Shoes and Brews. So what beers are we having tonight?
Oh, I'm actually a little bit embarrassed. I'll go first and get it over and done with, because I'm sure your beer is better than mine. But I'm on a bit of the wagon at the moment. So I've got an Asahi Zero. So not very inspiring, but yeah, it'll wet the whistle for tonight. So but yeah, generally, if I had a choice on doing something fancy, I'd be I like the Belgian beers and I like the IPAs. And there's a great local brewery called Land and Sea, and they've got a great little drop called Juice Box, which is probably one of my favourites. So if I was drinking proper beer, that's what I'd be drinking right now.
It's not the first time a Zero's got a mention on the podcast, though, mate. So you've got friends here. Well, here. I'm having the joys of having visitors over Easter. I've got leftovers that people left in the fridge. I've got Ben Spoke's had a fair run here, but we've got Capital Brewing. This is a Haze Oasis Pale Ale. Never had this one before. Yeah, first crack, pretty good. So what do you got, Scotty?
I've gone for the Tinny's Pale Ale. Yeah, something a bit different. I've been drinking a lot of Bolter, so it's like, let's change it up a little bit. Yeah, so here we go. Fuck you, Tony. Oh.
Cheers.
Oh,
actually, that crankshaft fry Ben Spoke's one of my other favourites as well. That's a go-to for me.
That's an all-time top few beer. That one. That's pretty much a staple in the fridge around here, mate.
Right. Mate, I had that. Did you? Ash posted something. Was that just an April Fool's joke?
Well, so Ben Spoke.
Because they're doing it at 440.
Yeah, we're really going for a Ben Spoke sponsorship here, I think, Scotty. But it was on April Fool's Day. They posted a 440ml can, which had I think it was like an 11.6% beer in it. And so I just jokingly put my hand up in the comments or something, and then, but I think they're actually making it, which sounds absolutely bloody lethal. That's about 3 standard drinks, I reckon, in one can.
That's just standard beer in Belgium, though. That's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, might be one for the Christmas episode.
Yeah. Oh, for
Mate,
sure.
I'm guessing when you were living overseas, Tomo, that you probably didn't get into a lot of the Belgian beers then, though.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah.
A couple of nights out?
Yeah. I probably, I don't know, because you're younger. I mean, when I was doing triathlon, I did tend to drink a bit of beer and wine. I had a beer the night before the Olympics, actually. I probably wouldn't do that now, knowing what I know now. But at the time, I thought, why not? It's a bit of carbs and, it's nice and relaxed. But yeah, since working, I was spending a lot of time over in Europe with the cycling stuff. And yeah, there was definitely a lot of Belgian beers consumed in that time. And living in America, actually, the Americans did a better job of doing their American versions of the Belgian beers, because the Belgian beers haven't really changed. They've been traditionally the same forever, and the Americans started doing more sort of progressive versions of the same thing, and they were pretty much better, I reckon.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Yeah. American Belgian.
Yeah. Those ones.
Nice. Now we got so one thing we talk about before we get into a little bit your background is we talk about a sport that has been capturing our attention for the last couple of weeks. So is there anything you've been capturing your attention outside of your
I guess because it's topical. We're just talking about this. They just had the Tour of Flanders on a couple of nights ago in Belgium, and I didn't stay up to watch it this time. It would have been a time when I would have stayed up to 1 a.m. to see the finish, but yeah, it was a pretty much a foregone conclusion. The favourite won, but just seeing that the top riders finish in the top 5 positions is it's pretty amazing. It's not easy to do that, that just shows the cyclists these days. They're so good. Those top guys, they're really amazing.
Yeah, wins another monument. Pretty special. Pogacar.
Yeah, pretty awesome. I love that race. It's a cracker.
Yeah, I did see some good content where I think it was Mitch Bowen. They put him on some sort of a bike where it was to simulate some old shitty bike to simulate if he was actually going over the cobbles again. Because I think he did it 9 times, but and then he basically said, "Yeah, that's enough of that into a few beers." I think so.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, it's got to be the stall gift. I don't know if you guys caught it on the weekend. Sha'Carri Richardson off
unbelievable
off the back mark, and got her down, but she nearly didn't get through in the semi. Basically, sort of stood up at the finish line almost. But I always love that. A handicap race is something special, especially when it's world class talent, but also good for the young Aussies who have a red hot crack and get to race against the best. I thought that was probably my highlight, other than I won't talk NRL with you, Scotty, but yeah, that was right up there. So,
mate, it's killing me. It's killing me. It's already cricket season, mate.
No.
Far out. So for me, it's this week is going to be the Masters. So just the US Masters. Looking at that golf course, it's a one golf course where you just go, mate, if I could play once on that, I'd nearly give up. It is just immaculate. So, and then just, TV, I'm sure I've never been there, but TV doesn't do it justice with the slopes. You can't see. It's probably like watching bike racing for everyone else.
Yeah.
You don't realize how steep some of the gradients are just on TV. So, that'll be me locked in for this week.
Yeah,
happy days.
Just a bit of a golf thing. My wife's from a little town in Ireland called Adair, and they've got the Ryder Cup there next year.
Oh wow!
So yeah, it's like the town's tiny. It is really small, but they've got the Adair Manor there and the golf course, and that's where the Ryder Cup will be. It's a really special course. They get Tiger Woods and all the top players play there all the time. And when I've been there to visit, the choppers will come in from London, Dublin, to come in and play on the course. It's pretty unreal. So I think most of the residents are going, and they're selling their rent in their houses for like 30 grand a week or something like that. So I don't think my parents-in-law are cashing in. I think they're going to hang around.
Yeah, mate, massive for a small town, eh?
It's huge. Yeah, unbelievable.
Right. Unreal. All right, let's get into your story. So let's go right back to the start. I met you in '97, I think, and just entering into the Tridents fold, and just me looking at all these. At the time, to me, it was just these amazing athletes. I look at, there was John Boxall, Jason Chalker, Stewie Shaw, yourself. I just looked at all these people just going, far out. This is insane that I get to train in the same pool.
And these were just the local guys as well.
Then I get it wrong when I start talking about some of the internationals that came and trained. I can't think of how many, but it was pretty incredible. But mate, what got you into triathlon?
I think there's a little bit of destiny involved in that one. I think, I don't know. I've always loved the water. Rode the bike to school. Was good at cross country. I remember seeing a triathlon when I was 8 on television, thinking that's something I wanted to do. And there's nothing available as an 8-year-old back back in the 80s. But yeah, did my first race in Canberra when I was 13. I think the youngest age was probably still 15, but did the sprint race and absolutely loved it. And yeah, it was just, I mean, it wasn't really a mainstream sport back then. You know, it was sort of one of those things you did outside of school. And so yeah, I was just doing every race that I could, and went through high school, went to national schools championships for the ACT, and I was in year 11, year 12, and then there was all these South Coast races that my parents would take me to as well. So yeah, just loved it. And yeah, I mean, I did it right through school, and then had probably 2 years where I didn't do a race. Went overseas for a year, and yeah, similar to you, Scotty, I'd sort of been drinking a bit overseas and was about out of shape, and you know, it was like started uni, and I was like, oh, I need to get back into doing some fitness stuff, and I said maybe I should do a triathlon again. I was kind of good at that, and so I started to get a little bit of fitness going, a bit of training, and then I did a race in Canberra somewhere on Lake Burley Griffin, and I think I ended up winning it. Like I hadn't done a race in over 2 years, and Benny Gathercole, the coach of the Tridents Triathlon Club, was there, and he said, you should come along and train with us. We've got all these amazing athletes, and yeah, so yeah, convinced to go along there, and it was like a team sport. You know, we had all these great people there. Training was like playing in a team sport. You had all this great company and traveled to events and stuff like that. So yeah, I just loved being part of the crew there, and all the people that were involved was just, it was a great vibe, and yeah, ended up staying through for a long time.
Ash, no, it looks like Ash was going to ask something, but with the you talk about the team sport, and I don't think you can talk about that enough. It's you turn up to, even though you know you're racing all your mates every weekend, every other weekend, and they become really good mates. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I beat you, you beat me, or whatever. But you turn up to training, and it is a team. It's totally. The banter that, yeah, it's hard to explain how much of a team it is for that individual sport. That was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it was for me, not for everybody. I mean, there's certainly lots of people that kind of, you know, got that sort of little lone wolf mentality. But I think most people, you know, they like exercising for the shared experience that you have and connection that you have with other people. Doesn't really matter what it is, but especially when you're doing endurance sports, I think can be quite lonely, and having that company, you know, misery sheds a lot easier to deal with. That's for sure. And yeah, it's just so much more the community that you build, just the sense of belonging that you get. But it just pushes you to be better. I think you just you know, your bad days, you know, you get dragged along, and then you're often inspired or motivated with other people there, you know, to really get the most out of yourself. And yeah, you are great mates. You compete, you know, in training, you compete in events, but then you go and then you're kind of racing under the same banner, and you're competing together as well. So yeah, no, I love that. Was a great time of our lives for sure. It was awesome.
Yeah, we'll get to more of the teamwork, but sorry, go Ash.
I was just going to say, Tom, I'm surprised you don't have amazingly fond memories of swimming in the cosmopolitan capital in Lake Burley Griffin, and just the sight that is that beautiful lake.
Oh, I have plenty of great memories. Scott, did you ever do one of those Christmas Day swims that we did? Like, not that you can see very much in Lake Burley Griffin, but we did this stupid thing where we taped our goggles up, like we put duct tape over our goggles, so you literally couldn't see a thing, and we did this thing where you had to swim 500 strokes before you're allowed to take your goggles off and see where you ended up.
No idea.
It was absolutely like it was like we all ended up in completely different areas of the lake. I remember Miko, who's staying with me now, he literally he swam around, hit the shore, and he pushed so he swam around and hit the shore again. I think Stu Shaw like swam into one of those pedalos or something like that. He literally went straight into yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's probably one of my better memories. Half the time it's closed because of the blue-green algae these days, so it was lucky we could get in.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably about the same visibility, mate, with your duct tape on, to be honest. So.
It is, yeah.
Oh, too good. So who do you have the best battles with in Canberra?
Reedy would love me to say that Luke Grattan was my nemesis. So,
Yeah.
few battles there. Look, I think, that whole squad was amazing. As you said, like Jason Chalker, Stewie Shaw. I mean, I'd raced Stewie since cross country days when we were in high school. So I knew Stu from a long time. But then we did get all of these international pros come as well. We had a few Australian guys, like Chippy Slater was one of the top guys. But yeah, I remember just like in the early days for me, before the Sydney Olympics, we had a couple of the Swiss athletes, male and female, came and trained with us in their preparation for the Olympics as well. Michelle Dillon was racing for the UK. So there was no shortage of great people to train with, that's for sure. I mean, Canberra's not short of it either. Like, as you know, Scotty, like, I swam at the Institute of Sport for a number of seasons there as well. So swimming with some of Australia's best swimmers. The cycling was amazing. We had some of the best professional cyclists come through, like Michael Rogers, Matty Heyman. There was a huge list of cyclists. So you could do a training camp with some of those guys, and then you got all these incredible runners as well that were all there. So I kind of shared myself around between those groups, and there was, I was never the fastest person in the pool, on the bike, or on the track in those days. So it was amazing.
Perfect way to be.
Yeah,
push you harder.
100%.
Right. So speaking of that, I mean, 2000 time where you've got all these athletes coming in, is that where you've gone, okay, I really want to push for Olympics? Or when did that goal really come about?
Yeah, it was exactly 2000, because I think I'm trying to think what time, because you might not know this, but Scotty actually was my boss there for a little while, and I only thought about this the other day because I'm in franchising now, and that was my first experience in franchising, was when Scotty gave me a job at the Athlete's Foot, and I was working at the Southern Cross Club Yacht Club, and as I was getting into triathlon, this is probably around 99, I reckon. 99 started 2000, and maybe because I'd gone, maybe it was a bit before that, actually, a couple of years before. 97, I was at uni. No, it was 98, 99, I reckon, was when I was working there. I was working bar shifts, and so I was getting into triathlon training most of the day, trying to do uni, and then I was working bar shifts at night, and then wondering why I was struggling to kind of get the best performance out. And so Scotty offered me a job at the Athlete's Foot, which was kind of much more fitting with where my passions lied. And so that was an amazing experience. Like, it was, I loved it, absolutely loved it. Got to be sort of in and around all the brands that in running and triathlon, and I'm pretty sure my first sponsorship came out of that with New Balance through the connections that we had there as well. So I think my first season overseas was in 2000. So it was I made the televised series that year and raced, and was offered an opportunity to race in France for the Australian winter. So took that and went over there and sort of did my first season. I called myself full time at that point. I wasn't professional. I was just committed to it. I was certainly far from professional at that time, but they were desperate times. I didn't have much money. You're literally racing for prize money to try and eat the next week and get yourself to the next race. But I did my first World Cup that year, and I think I got flogged, actually. I was probably like 32nd. It was in Lausanne in Sweden, Switzerland, sorry. And came back, and I did have the New Balance sponsorship at that time, and they had a whole lot of tickets to events at the Sydney Olympics, and they basically invited me up to hang out in the hospitality, and basically said, we'll get you, you can get tickets to all the events, but we want you to come and sit with us at the triathlon. And I remember sitting in the grandstand with
I got goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Like, here I am, I was probably just turned 20, and I was just fully committed in this sport. I felt like such an imposter at the Sydney Olympics because here I was with tickets to these events and I was just a nobody. But yeah, sitting in the grandstand watching Michaela Jones get the silver medal with her husband and her agent and the marketing manager for New Balance at the time. And I remember them saying as she crossed the line in second spot, they looked at each other and said, "Whoa, that's cost us $1 million." So that was how much they reckoned it was worth at the time to win the gold medal versus the silver. But the next day was the men's race, and I got the same seat back there again. And I remember this as they were calling their names out, one at a time to come out to the pontoon to go and line up. And I'm watching all of these athletes come past, and I was like, "Oh, there's so and so, there's him, there's that." And I'm like, these are all guys that I've been racing against over the last 6 to 12 months. Like I've done a World Cup. Like I want to be in that group next time. Like that's something. So that was the first time I'd considered the Olympics as something that I wanted to do. So it was a 4-year dream that was sort of put in place that day.
Yeah, that's hospitality that New Balance put on at the back of the Maritime Museum.
Yes,
that was insane.
Insane. Yeah, that was amazing.
So I don't know if I've told Ash about it, but they hired out the back of the Maritime Museum as a corporate centre, and we'd turn up. So Trish and I went for 4 days. You turn up in the morning, and they go, "Okay, we've got tickets for the hockey in the morning, basketball in the afternoon, and athletics at night." Fucking done. Let's grab them all. Just head out to Homebush, and you'd get back about midnight, and then the party would start inside the corporate function center.
It was huge.
It was nuts.
I think I slept in my car for 2 weeks just doing that day after day. It was amazing.
I love it.
Yeah. So, and we would have been 22 or so.
Yeah.
That stage.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. So let's fast. Sorry, go Ash.
No, I was just going to say. So let's go from Sydney. Then you've got this fire in your belly moment. Going, "Oh shit, I want to be part of that." What does the next couple of years look like then?
Yeah, so the next 2 years were pretty similar. So obviously, sort of on the grindstone with the Tridents and working with Benny and kind of making progress through the Australian season, and then I kept racing in France in the off season as well. In the Northern Hemisphere summer, and then it got about, I think it was 2 years out, and they kind of had the what the qualification looked like going into the Olympics. And so essentially you needed to get enough points on the circuit to be considered to be part of selection. And I think they were going to have what they called a shadow squad of about 10 athletes, male and female, that had enough points. So you needed to get enough points to be in that shadow squad. And then from there, you'd be eligible for selection in the selection criteria. So I sort of quickly realized that if I was to go and spend another season back in France racing for the team over there, I probably wasn't going to get enough points, and I needed to kind of chase the World Cup circuit a little harder. And I was still broke at this point. I was still not very professional. So I think I went and saw one of the credit unions in Canberra and asked for a $5,000 loan to basically get tickets to get to North America. And then I was going to rely on prize money to kind of get me the rest of the trip. If I didn't get enough results, I was just going to come home with the tail between my legs. And I remember one of the main guys at the credit union in Canberra, his son was into triathlon, so he knew me. But he called me into his office and he said, "Look, we can't give you a loan. Like you're not backable for a loan." But he said, "We want to help out. We're going to sponsor you. We're going to give you $5,000." So that
we'll just give it to you because you can't pay it back.
Yeah. You don't have to pay us back with interest. I was like, that's right. So so I went to North America and Canada and got a couple of results that kind of paid for the ticket to go around to Europe for the rest of the season. And I ended up getting enough points to do it. And then came into so it was between coming into 2003. It was in the end of 2003. They had 2 selection races. One was in Coffs Harbour. One was in the Coffs Harbour one was in December, and then February 2004 was a race in Perth. And essentially, if you were in the shadow squad, and if you won either of those events, you were automatically qualified.
So how many at that stage? How many people were in the shadow squad?
There would have been 10 or 12, I think. And these are guys that I've revered my entire life. Like these are some of the best triathletes Australia's produced. Greg Bennett, Chris McCormack, Chris Hill, Miles Stewart, Craig Walton, Courtney Atkinson. I mean, Craig Alexander. The list was enormous. I was not the guy at the top of this list. I was a guy. That's
what I wanted to get. I wanted to get to that because at the time, out of those guys, you might have been ranked 7 or 8 in your mind, or
not even probably. These guys were I'd beaten probably all of them at some point, I reckon. So knew I was capable, but these guys were consistently on the world level. The best performer, and Australia was dominating men's and women's triathlon through that period as well. So, you knew that if you made the Australian team, you're at a good chance of getting a medal.
Yeah, and so I want to talk about COFs because, as you said, you probably felt you might have 7 or 8 or whatever you were ranked out of those. Mate, there's some incredible names that you've put in there. And to paint the picture for Ash, I just remember watching, it was in about November or December 2003. The first race is Coffs Harbour, selection race. Mate, Tomo, and I think Tomo probably underplays it maybe a little bit, but I've got goosebumps talking about it. But watching that race and fucking knowing with a couple of K to go, I think you've won it, and whipping you home like a jockey. Right, to win that and go, fuck, I'm going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
And then to back it up in Perth, Ash, to go, he won the selection race in Perth as well. So just like, this was not a fluke. I'm fucking here and I'm going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
But
No,
I could only
describe it perfectly. Yeah, and so it was. So interestingly, the World Championships was 2 weeks earlier. So Peter Robertson was the other guy I didn't even mention in that other list. So he was the current world champ. I didn't make the World Championships team. There were 6 guys that went to the World Championships team, and I hadn't qualified for it, which ended up being a godsend because I didn't have to try and race the World Championships 2 weeks prior. But yeah, so to get up on that event, I was skipping and dancing down the finish chute. It was one of the hardest races we ever did. To give you an idea, my winning time that day was 2 hours and 4 minutes. Generally, we'd be completing those races at our level would be like an hour 50 or just under an hour 50. Hour 45 sort of thing. So it was a brutally tough course on a really hot day that they were trying to emulate the conditions for Athens. I was minutes in front in the end. And so I remember just skipping and dancing down the finish line and just screaming as I crossed the line. And it had nothing to do with the paycheck. That was probably the biggest paycheck I've ever got in my life. But I was going to the Olympics. That was the only thing that we were racing for that day. It was the best feeling of my life. It was amazing. And you mentioned Perth there too, Scotty. Given that I was a bit of a smoky coming in on the day, I probably didn't appreciate how some of the chatter, within the sport behind the scenes, sort of saying, "Oh, it's a bit of a fluke," or probably doesn't deserve to be there. And so, going into the next race without any pressure as well, I raced it very differently, knowing that I'd already won the previous one. But managed to get up and win that race as well. That probably did wonders for the confidence of the Australian triathlon community that they might have the right guy on the team because I think there was a few doubts probably after just the one win.
Good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So then you've got after Perth, when was Athens? August?
It was August. So so when I qualified in Coffs Harbour, that was actually I was like the second Australian across all sports to qualify at that point. It was 9 months out. So that's sort of like a 9-month preparation phase to kind of be in the form of my life on one day of the year the next year.
Yeah. And then what did the next 6 months look like after Perth?
Yeah, I mean, a bit of I mean, I think we finished the rest of that season. I didn't end up winning the series that year, which was a bit of a bummer. I was in a sprint finish with Courtney Atkinson, and he flicked me at the Opera House in the sprint, and he took I had to win the race outright. He just had to beat me. I remember that was the way it was, and so he just basically shadowed me the whole race, and then just out sprinted me. So, but fair play to him. He was well deserved. But yeah, so I finished the season. I probably kept training through till about April, and then went over to Europe. And I think we had a training camp in Aix-les-Bains in France, and then also did a bit of time back in a little ski village of Lausanne in Switzerland as well. They were the sort of the two spots where I was based. We did some other racing, but yeah, the last couple of weeks were in Aix-les-Bains in France. And we didn't race until like day 12 or something like that. It was towards the back end. So we had the opportunity. We actually flew into Athens for the opening ceremony for a couple of days. It was all three of the guys did it. Greg Bennett, Peter Robertson and myself. But none of the girls decided to come. So they stayed back. We got to go to the opening ceremony and hang out at the village and all of that stuff, and then go back to France for another week and watch basically all of the sword fighting, because that was all they cared about. It was you didn't get to choose what you got to see. You're getting national television at that stage, so that was all I got to watch. Unfortunately, all the Aussies were winning medals in the swimming and all this other stuff, and missed it all.
Can't see it. So let's go through the day, the big day of the.
Oh, the day itself. Oh, yeah. Okay. Feeling relaxed. Had my beer the night before, so feeling good on race day. The girls had raced the day before. The Loretta Harrop had got silver, so we're all really pumped about that. It was feeling good. I was really excited. My family was all there. Had a bunch of friends who were over there as well. A bunch of them had come over from London and driven all the way through Europe to get there. I was really looking forward to the race. Like, I think my preparation had gone as well as I could have hoped for. I got to the day feeling like no stone unturned. You know, now's my opportunity to just go and execute. And it was. I think there was a couple of little things that happened on the morning of, like they were sort of obsessed about not having any sponsor logos or anything that could show up on the footage. And so I remember they were taping across my bike. Like, I even had like Tomo and Athens 2004 on my custom-made Trek bike, and they put tape over the Tomo and the Athens 2004. Like, it was just ridiculous. Like, the level, and I had a pair of Rudy Project sunglasses that had Rudy Project written across the front. You weren't allowed to have any forward-facing logos, so they got taped up as well. And then there was another rule they came up with. They didn't want to have any zips undone on the race day as well. So because you obviously had your name and your country on the front of your jersey, and they didn't want to have it all just like that. They didn't want to have that look for whatever reason. So you can imagine just above my pectorals there, they decided to sew us in to our suit. So they did it up and they put us so I couldn't undo it. So I had to do my last nervous wee about 45 minutes before the race because I was literally sewn into my suit by some ham-fisted German lady that went around and did it. But other than that, it was all good. And the race went mostly to plan. I mean, it started off pretty good. I came out of the water, like, good start, came out of the water right next to the guy that eventually won the race, Hamish Carter. He was one of the top three out in Sydney, so he's a really good swimmer. So I was feeling pretty confident with where my position was. Onto the bike and just felt great. Like, you know, when you just have those days, my legs felt really amazing. And it was a really tough course. I mentioned that the qualifying races were trying to emulate this. It had a 21% climb, gradient climb and it was 5 laps. Had to do it was like a 3 pinches up to the top, flat across the top, then big downhill, and then it kind of went uphill again on the back end of the course and back. Just tapping out up the climb, I ended up getting to the top of the hill in first position. So I was leading the race, exactly where I would have absolutely, been so stoked if I knew 9 months earlier that was where I was going to be, because normally the swim's not my strong suit. So I'm usually having to chase a bit at the start of the bike leg to get myself in contention. But I was right there. And then I was right there with two of the best cyclists in the field as well, Bevan Doherty from New Zealand and Olivier Marceau from he was racing for Switzerland, and we looked at each other and we said, let's go, boys. And so Olivia went to the front on the downhill and just pumped it, and I was straight onto his wheel, and the three of us were trying to take this little 5-10 second lead and try and establish it. And as we're coming into the bottom, it's like we're going 75k an hour. It's a sharp left-hand bend. I just sort of touched my brakes just to give myself a bit of a feel, get myself in, and I slipped and it skidded. And I was just like, whoa. Well, and then next thing I know, I was into the corner and I was having to brake, and boom, I just went sliding straight out. So early in the clock, I didn't even start getting around the bend. I was sort of so early on that Bevan Doherty was on my wheel. He didn't even look like getting taken out. But yeah, I went sliding straight into the hay bales, into the barriers, and then the rest of the field kind of came flying through, and I picked myself up, picked the bike up, give it a quick once over, and the bike was in pretty good nick. So I just had to straighten the hoods a little bit, jump back on, and started chasing, and just went. I did not think. I was getting back to the front of the race. So I just chased and didn't realize that I had all of these other top favourites of the race sitting on my wheel still as well. They were still coming, and so they sat on my wheel all the way back. And as we came back around, started to climb again, I was making my way onto the back of the group. So I managed to get back to the front as we got to the top of the climb. And as we're coming down, I was a little bit more cautious this time. So kind of backed off a little bit as I was coming to the bottom corner, but I still slid out again and went bang straight into the hay bales a second time. And so by the time I got myself up again this time and started chasing, I've now done two and a bit laps, like on the rivet. So I had to kind of use the guys that were around me a little bit. So didn't just chase as hard. We kind of kept working. Could still sort of see the group in front. But as we went around the third time up the hill, there was a group that broke away. So there was like 5 or 6 guys that went away from that front group. And, you've seen this before, Scotty, in draft legal races. Like once the group kind of loses a bit of motivation, it's all over. So we went from the second chase group to the third chase group, and they just kind of stopped chasing. Everyone started waiting for the run leg, which was so dumb, given that we're winning. There's only 3 medals. Like there's no prize money to 15th place. So I think in the last lap we lost like a minute. Like it was just terrible. Like, it was how much everyone was just waiting for that last run. So I think I got off. I would have been like 35th position or something like that, running out onto the run. And but yeah, I'd sort of promised myself that no matter what, I was just going to give it my best effort the whole way through. So half my butt cheeks were sticking out, like from my back, exposed from the road rash. But yeah, just started running hard. And Hunter Kemper, one of the top American guys, he sort of caught up to me as well, and we just sort of worked in together really well. I kind of pushed the downhill bits, he pushed the uphill bits, and we just kind of kept working. And on the second lap around, I could see that I'd actually made ground on the leaders, because you could see where we passed each other at each end of the run course. And I think I realised that I was actually gaining on the leaders. So for the last lap, I just put my head down and went and overtook a bunch of people. And I think I crossed the line in 10th spot. So I made up a bit of ground. And as it turns out, my run was 10 seconds faster than Hamish, who won, and it was 45 seconds quicker than the bronze medal Sven Riederer. So yeah, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Had the legs. I mean, that's what things happen for a reason. But I think ultimately I was there in the best shape that I could have been, which was the goal all along. So didn't get the result, but still had a pretty good performance.
Yeah. So it was the second fastest run split, wasn't it?
Yeah, sort of second fastest. I think between Hunter Kemper, Greg Bennett, who came across the line 4th, and myself, I think we had like 350 or 350. Oh, sorry, 31:50. I think was the time that we had, was the fastest run.
Mate, that's after crashing twice. That's insane.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my experience.
Anyway, I want to go back to she finished second in Sydney. She said
Loretta
Bevan
Harris.
Doherty.
no, the lady.
Loretta. Loretta
No,
Harris.
in Sydney.
Michaeli Jones.
Jones, yeah. Okay, so I go back to when Jones said that cost us $1 million. Like, do you? Like, I'm thinking at this stage, you're still broke. You've got. I'm sure that like you would have had help get it with the Olympics once you qualified for that, but you go, fuck, that could have been a difference.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Do you want to know my other sponsor story that goes with that as well?
Yeah.
So sign up for the Olympics. I got signed up for the Olympics, so I needed an agent at that point. I'm like, here comes the money. Like, here it comes. I went with IMG. They just started the triathlon division because they'd taken on the Ironman in Port Mac at that time.
Yep.
And so I'm like, all right, well, it's not quite Olympic distance racing, but I'm the only triathlete on the book, so surely there's going to be some opportunities here. Anyway, they got me a Tag Heuer watch opportunity, and so they basically, the deal was that I could choose any watch out of this catalog, and they'll send it to me. I got to keep it. I just had to wear it during the race, and if I won the gold medal, they get first right of refusal on a sponsorship deal. So I thought, all right, that sounds like a good deal. I'm happy with that. So they sent me a catalog. I go through the catalog, and all these Tag watches are massive. Like, they're all big, like big, heavy metal things, and I'm like, how the hell am I supposed? Like, we didn't even wear Garmin watches really in those days. Like, didn't wear anything. So
no.
But anyway, eventually I flicked through. I found this one they called their F1000 or F1 watch or something like that. It had a stopwatch to 1/1000th of a second. That was their thing. It was a only digital watch they had, and it had a rubber band. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to give that one a go. It turns out, I completely forgot about it. It turned up like 3 months later, just before I left. No idea how much it cost. There's no price. So everywhere I'm traveling for the next 3 months, I'm trying to look in all of in airports and in shopping malls. I'm trying to find it so I can see how much it costs. And it's quite heavy. Like, it's still metal. Like the thing on it's still metal. It's square. I'm like, oh, it's not really that comfortable, but eventually fine. It's worth like $5,000 or something like that. Like, it's the most expensive thing I own other than my bikes. So I'm like, I'm wearing this watch no matter what. Like, I'm not going to wear this watch because I want to keep it. And then the day before the race, we went for a swim the same day that the women were racing, and I've dived into the pool, and the clasp came loose, and so I'm like, did it up, put it back on. I start swimming. I'm like, what if that happens tomorrow? Like, you can't just stop in the Olympics and do your watch up. Like, what do you do? Like, because it just had it was sort of like a clasp you undid, and it just kind of expanded, and then you take it off. It wasn't like in two halves. And so this is like playing on my mind for 24 hours, right? Like, I'm just thinking, like, I've got to wear this watch, but it might come undone again. Anyway, the next morning, I just come up with this genius idea. I get some duct tape. So while I've got the duct tape out, taping up our glasses and our bike, I stick some duct tape in my watch. So I've stuck it through there and wrapped it round, and then I'm like, oh, done. Like, it's bulletproof. Anyway, come off the bike on that first crash on the bike, I'm skidding across the tarmac. Little do I know, my arm is like dragging behind me like this, and I'm dragged it. And as I've picked up the bike, got back on the bike, I'm down on the drops. I look down, and that clasp has been twisted into a figure 8, and the only thing holding my watch on is that duct tape.
Duct tape.
So, like, there's no pocket, I would have had to throw that $5,000 watch out to the crowd. Like, there's no way I would have been able to race with it if it wasn't for the duct tape. But yeah, so watch stayed on, got to keep it. Tag sent me a new clasp after the race. So that was it. That was my sponsorship. So, $1 million gold medal deal, but I did get to keep a $5,000 tag.
I love it.
Nice. Do you still have the watch?
Still got it. Yeah, the battery's flat. It's in my cupboard.
Yeah, awesome.
I'm dying to ask two questions, but one. So you're just love hearing the story of like having a red hot crack and falling a couple of times. But in the Olympic experience, what was your off field non-event highlight just from the whole experience of being an Olympian?
There was a few. I think probably one of one of the highlights was probably after the race, like was just being there with my mates and family, like after the emotion kind of comes out, of the disappointment or whatever. It was just so cool that we're here at the Olympics together, and we had this big team dinner, and everyone's drinking, and the music's starting, and it was just so, like, to be there with my mum and dad, and then having plenty of drinks, and having it was just so much fun. So that sticks in my mind as probably my number one memory. But I do clearly remember in that first trip. I said we went over for the opening ceremony. We stayed in the village. I remember going into the dining hall area, and just as I was coming into the dining hall area, there was a couple of gymnasts that came past, and then there was like a couple of other African athlete, big tall guys, and some other athletes. And I remember just standing there thinking to myself, I've cheated the system. Like, somehow, like, I'm surrounded by these specimens of human beings. Like, these people are built for being athletes. Like, I could pick any sport. Some of these people, they're going to be good at it because they're just specimens of human beings, or they're built specifically for gymnastics or diving or something. And I'm like, I'm 5'10". I'm just a middle of the range dude. I can't make the run team. I can't make the bike team. I can't make the swim team. They've made a new sport, and I'm bloody in this bloody village. Somehow I got in, and this pass is real. Like, it was just the most unbelievable feeling to go, like, I'm in, and I shouldn't be, but I'm in.
Oh, I love it.
It's like I'm not awesome at anything. I'm sort of okay at everything.
New sport. Yeah.
And my second question, this might segue nicely to Scotty, to talk about the post triathlon career. You've obviously been in and around triathlon for a bloody long time. Like what's your take on just how professional the current setup is compared to, you talk about, even your first job at Athlete's Foot and your first custom bike and the like. What's your take on the current sort of vibe, and how just where the sport's gone to from people that were a bit of good at everything to these elite specimens on every sort of discipline?
Yeah, look, it's not even the same level. Like, it is so much better now. Like, I know when we always sort of look at other sports and trying to compare some of the greats from the past, like a Michael Jordan versus some of the modern day players and stuff like that. Like, the guys today are just next level. Like, the speeds that they're doing all three sports. Like, I'm living here in Noosa, and we see a lot of triathletes here quite a bit, and occasionally get to sort of do a bit of training with them and stuff. But like guys like Hayden Wild, and Matt Hauser and those guys, they're just incredible. Like, the speeds that they're racing now, like, I just can't even fathom it. Like, if you just look at some of right through all the distances too, like Olympic distance through, middle distance and the Ironmans, like, you would, if you'd said it 20 years ago when I was racing, like the times that they'd be doing, you can't do it without having, some machines. Like, it's just impossible to go at those speeds. And I know technology's helped quite a bit. Like, there has been quite a lot of innovation across cycling and running over the years, but I do think the athletes have just really gone to another level yet again for lots of reasons. Just the science has improved, the knowledge has improved, and they just the professional of the sport's gone up. But I'm in awe as a fan of what these guys can do now. They're incredible.
I'd love to know which of the current crop is going to have a cold beer though the night before though. That's still yet to be proven.
Yeah, Hayden might do it, I reckon.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
No, I reckon Hayden might do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, how good.
So I just want to touch on. So I'll go back to the teamwork, because 2006 Commonwealth Games. Now, I believe it was Brad Carterfield, Robbo, and Bennett were the three selected. And Bennett was injured, and they called you in. But at the time, you were a little bit injured too, yeah.
Yeah, so off the back of the Olympics, I had this amazing purple patch. So the work I'd done to get to that level really paid off after that. Like I think my stats were something like, of the next 13 races that I did, I'd won 11 of them, and maybe finished on the podium for the other 2. So I quickly kind of went up the ranks at that point where so this is 2005 now, where my reputation had kind of changed dramatically at that point. And I was one of the favourites going into Gamagori, Japan that year. As one of the guys to beat. And then I ended up getting a random injury, sort of not maybe a month or 2 out from the world champs. It turns out I got a stress fracture in my sacrum that was not really diagnosed until some time later, back when I got back to Australia. So I went to London initially, couple of weeks still trying to get it better and couldn't figure out what it was, but ended up having a stress fracture, and I ended up having an operation that year to kind of fix the cause of what sort of caused that. It was around my hamstring and glutes and insertion, and so that was in October of 2005. So I went from being one of the potential favourites for the Commonwealth Games to kind of being out recovering from surgery. And it was, I couldn't ride a bike for a couple of months because I literally had a 12 centimeter cut like underneath my sit bone on my butt basically. And so I was back racing in early 2006, but I'd only competed once or twice. So I was getting back to form. I was probably like 95%. When Benno came up injured, and so I was the first alternate still. I'd done enough, and so that's when Greg was injured. I think he had a stress fracture in his foot. He had a pretty significant injury. So I was given the call up at that point. So, but yeah, not certainly not at 100%, but still ready and willing to give a red hot crack.
Yeah, well, I remember going down. A bunch of us. There was, I think, 7 of us.
The yellow wigs.
Yeah, 7 of us piled into Tarago and drove down on the Friday night, and arrived about 1 a.m. and the race was on the Saturday. But I distinctly remember that I think your role or your only job was to keep those other 2 boys safe on the bike, because at that time I think Brad, and especially more Brad, was one of the fastest runners in the world off the bike.
The 2 of them were, both of them were. So, and it didn't start out that way. When they selected me, they probably got a little bit nervous as the race got closer, because they realised that my game plan to try and get a gold medal was probably going to be really detrimental to Brad and Robbo having the race that they needed for them to win. And reality is they were in peak shape. They were favourites, and so me trying to win the race meant that I was going to break away on the bike and try and get away from it. And I was potentially going to drag some of the competitors away with me as well. So we had a sort of a conversation within the team, and we made the decision that that I was going to work for the other guys. So it wasn't a decision I made easily, but I also saw it as an opportunity that we has never been done before. Like, it's certainly not at that level. I know some of the French teams and stuff do it in some of the French Grand Prix, but we knew that the Canadians and the New Zealanders, the Kiwis, that were the favourites, to the 2 guys coming off Olympic gold and silver medal, they were never going to expect the Australian guys to work together. That was just not something that they were going to expect. So my job was literally to get those 2 guys at the front of the race off the bike. So I clearly remember walking down to the pontoon for the start, and you could feel how much confidence that Robbo and Brad had, knowing they had someone had their back. Like, you just don't go into a race, no, especially not in those days. I don't know if it's like that now, but they just knew that if they had a bad swim, I was going to be dropping back and dragging them back up to the front, or if someone was going to attack, I was going to be the one that was going to chase them down and try and bring it back. Their whole demeanor shifted. They were so much more relaxed going into it. And as it turned out, I ended up like 3rd out of the water, which I never do either. and Brad and Robbo were both on my feet, so they were in a perfect position coming in. And Tim Dime, one of the English guys, went to attack at the start, and I just was on his wheel, sitting there marking him. And then another point, Chris Gemmell, one of the Kiwis, he went to attack, and I made a great show of making him think that I was attacking with him. I got in front of him as we went into a hairpin corner, and I was braking and braking and braking and out of the corner, and the whole bunch caught straight up. And he was like, at the time, he was like, what are you doing? Like, he didn't quite click, but then somewhere along the line, they realized what was happening. And so, but yes, I helped get them both off the bike at the front. And it was my proudest 11th place that I ever had, because Brad ended up obviously taking the gold medal, and Robbo came through for the bronze. So it was a huge success. It was awesome.
Yeah, mate, it was unreal to be there.
Yeah,
so,
it was cool.
Mate, cool. Let's get quickly. I know we've been talking a lot, and mate, as with all of the guests we have on, I could talk for hours. And
we might need an episode 9.1.
Yeah, mate, that'd be awesome. So let's quickly go into a couple of your, like, we talked about technology changes before, but the racing shoes that you had in 2004 to what I'm sure you're wearing in High Rocks now. Yeah. And we haven't even got into your High Rocks stuff, but that's another story as well. But what are the changes in running shoes and race shoes in particular?
Amazing, aren't they? It's so good. I mean, I think I've always liked trail running, so I've mostly trail running. So I was probably a little late to the party with some of the road shoes with all of the carbon plates and things like that. But yeah, I've always been with ASICS since they came on board for me as a sponsor in 2000. So I've always spent my hard-earned money on ASICS shoes, and some of their shoes have just been amazing. And I've actually got the Meta Fuji Trails probably getting the most amount of use now. Like, I bought it as a High Rock shoe. I thought, it's got the plate, it's got a bit more stability, plus it's got some grip on it. So like, they're three really good things for High Rocks, and it's been great. But I've actually started wearing it for nearly all of my running now. I didn't run on it in the trails for ages. I was keeping them in good nick, but yeah, now I do my long runs in them as well. I love them. They're great shoes.
Yeah. What's your favorite shoe of all time?
If you made me pick, I mean, as I said, it's hard to go past the modern shoes because they're so phenomenal. Like, I feel like they're a fountain of youth. I can sort of feel like I'm running much closer to what I used to be able to run because of the technology these days. But I wouldn't be able to go past the DS Trainer. That was my go-to all-rounder. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What a shoe, that early DS Trainer.
I don't know why they don't do it anymore, to be honest. Like, it's so good. Yeah.
So I'd forgotten all about that shoe.
Had you? Like, that was
I see so many shoes, but
always had. Yeah. So that's my I think that would be the one that I found the most versatile. You could do a fast training session. You could do a half marathon in it. Yeah, you could do a longer training run as well. It was really good.
Yeah. Unreal.
My internet just cut out there, but I think you guys were just talking about the DS Trainer. That was a terrific shoe. Wow, mate. So, yeah.
Loved
it.
I'd forgotten all about it. Too many shoes. So, well, let's get into. I think we got fast five. It could be long five, but just before we do that, I want to know. So High Rocks.
Yep.
You have broken a stupid amount of records again.
only in the age group categories these days. So I've really enjoyed getting into High Rocks. Like, it's great that they've invented a sport that suits retired, washed up triathletes. It's really really good of them to do that. And ironically, it's now been endorsed under World Triathlon as well. So it's amazing how circles spin around, and people like Chris Gemmell, who I managed to ruin his Commonwealth Games race. He's now heading up World Triathlon and getting High Rocks ready for the Olympics, hopefully. So it's amazing how things can go around in circles. But yeah, it's a really great sport. I mean, I'm obviously working for Anytime Fitness now in the fitness space, and it's so good to see how many people are just getting involved in an event like this. You know, it looks from the outside look quite lofty. It looks quite hard to do, but it's actually really attainable, and that's where they have had so much success. They've picked movements that are safe and easy to do. They're not complex like a lot of the CrossFit stuff has been in the past. It's quite simple, and it's really scalable. You know, it works for people at the elite end to really push themselves faster and faster, but it works for someone, you know, that could be in their 70s or 80s that just wants to, you know, to finish it. So it's been really great. I've got involved the last couple of years. I've probably done, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 different races over the time. I've done it with my wife, and we went to the World Championships in Chicago last year. It was just such an awesome experience to be able to go and do an event together at a World Championships to represent the country in an age group event. But yeah, do that together. It's just it's great. We call it couples therapy. If you can get through an event together, then
I've seen some of the TikTok clips or YouTube clips. They're blowing up at each other.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So who got into it first? Was it you or Nikki?
So I did my first race with Luke McKenzie. So we're pretty evenly matched, and we did pretty well. And then and then my next one I did it with Nikki, and I did a solo race as well, and that's when we qualified to go to Chicago last year for the World Champs. And I've qualified again in the solo, and I've had an opportunity to do it with Dan Plews. Dr. Dan Plews might be someone that you know through triathlon circles. He's really well known. He's coached guys like Javier Gomez, one of my old competitors as well. But yeah, we raced in Melbourne together last year, and hadn't trained together, hadn't done anything. We'd competed against one another, but we posted a world record time for our age group. And qualified for Sweden this year. So we'll go and do that again. And Nick and I, hopefully in Brisbane on Monday, will qualify again in the mixed, because we attempted that in December, and she managed to dislocate her shoulder 3/4 of the way through the race. So we ended up in hospital rather than at the finish shoot. So we've got to try and still qualify.
Right. Big big trip to Sweden planned, and couple of races.
Yeah,
that's unreal. Oh, yeah, good.
Yeah, it's a good sport. It's a great environment. It's really great to see, people that they get that same experience that you see the elites get in a lot of sports. You know, they kind of get that really good experience. You can just see how excited they are when they accomplish it, when they cross the line, and just they're really so enthusiastic, and they're motivated to go and do more and train more and do it again. It's quite good to see.
Yeah, well, yeah. Not to mention the matching outfits. That's also right up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Part of the deal.
Yeah, it's all part of it. It's all part of it. It helps to have friends at Win Republic. That's for sure.
We're going to do a fast five. You can take these as fast or as slow as you want, and maybe we've covered a few already. But so we've mentioned lots of names and lots of I could sit here and talk for hours like Scotty. But who's the most influential person on your triathlon career? Just somebody who had a massive impact on the whole experience in life for you.
That's an easy one. Ben Gathercole, my coach.
And he was there with you the whole time, or?
Yeah, so that's at the Trident. So he wasn't my first coach, but basically from '99 through my whole career. So we rode the highs and lows together, and he's a remarkable man. He's really, really special man. We're still good friends.
Oh, I love that. And you've covered a funny story already, but any unique stories? Like, you've traveled the world, you've probably seen some different setups or trained in some weird places. Any funny memories that come to mind when you just look back on your career, whether high rocks or triathlon or something in between?
Oh, Only one it's not really that funny. It was sort of maybe a bit funny. I got lost at Whistler once. I was there for Crankworks for the mountain biking event, and I had a coffee and half a Kit Kat and went out for a run, thinking I knew where I was going, but took a wrong turn in the forest, and 4 hours later came stumbling back into the village. And was completely depleted and feeling quite wobbly. So I missed half the event probably as well. But that was a misadventure, that one for sure.
Oh, good. Trust the old Kit Kat to get you through.
Should have had the whole Kit Kat for sure, not half of it.
Before. Now I'm on the phone, so I can't tell what that jumper is framed behind you. Is that a sport team or is that
Yeah, that's a Radio Shack cycling jersey.
Cycling.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. One of my previous roles, global director of sports marketing and racing at Trek Bicycles. So spent a number of years going to different events. We had the what's now the Lidl Trek team. So we started that team in 2014. Was Trek took the license and owned the team themselves. So we built that team from scratch. So we'd taken the license from previously there'd been Radio Shack and Leopard were the two teams that Trek had sponsored. So a lot of the core people involved in those teams kind of amalgamated into Trek Factory Racing. And that was a jersey they gave me in the first year when I turned. It was 2013. I turned up to a race, and I think they didn't realise at the time that we were about to take the license and become their boss. But they gave me a jersey as one of the team sponsors, and they had it all signed. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And so other sports, do you follow footy? Do you have footy teams or soccer? Any
Yeah, I'm an AFL man myself, so I played that AFL as a kid, and I've been a Bombers fan since I was a little kid. So it's just been real rough. Yeah. I'm almost close to jumping ship to Brisbane. I haven't quite done it yet, given I've lived in Queensland for nearly 10 years. So almost, but no, I can't do it.
Yeah, no. But when you do it, they'll maybe not, but it might be another 10 years before they turn it around. They're a mess. Yeah. And then probably two quick ones. Are you we've had a fean guests on who think differently when they're out training, whether it's like a big long session or big day on the tools? Is there a certain sort of food or drink you think about, like, oh geez, when I knock off, I'm gonna eat or drink this? Is there something that comes to mind?
So when I was doing triathlon, I was obsessed with food. I think I was overtrained for half of my career, and so I was counting calories and constantly this loop of going around through my head around what my next meal was going to be. So about 6 months after I retired, I remember just waking up one day going, I'm not thinking about what I'm going to eat. And it was just the most freeing weightlessness feeling I'd had. So fortunately, it's kind of stuck with me. I don't dream about food while I'm out exercising anymore. So if anything, I'm probably thinking about the coffee that I'm going to have afterwards. That maybe where we're going to stop for coffee. But yeah, fortunately, my brain's not occupying about food while I'm exercising. I'm not doing it for 6, 7, 8 hours a day like we used to do it either. So
yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, and so then similar but different. So you're on the Asahi Zero at the moment, but if you were to talk us through where's your perfect place to have a drink and why is it beer? Talk us through where you're having a beer. Maybe in Noosa or around, like, where's your favorite go-to spot? What are you doing when you're having a beer?
I'm going to say my favorite place to have a beer is up on Fraser Island as the sunset's going down on the beach at Kingfisher Bay there. Fraser Island's my happy place. So it's a couple of hours drive from here on the 4 drive, and there's not much reception. So that is my favorite getaway spot. I love it. Does
that face west? Does that face west?
Well, it's an island, right? So you can
Okay.
Kingfisher Bay is on the west side. So they have a beautiful sunset over there.
Yeah.
And then you can obviously go to the eastern beaches as well.
I'm guessing there's a lot of people not going to Fraser Island because of the price of diesel at the moment.
Yeah,
So probably be real peaceful.
it'd be more peaceful than it's ever been. You're right.
Yeah.
I wish I could afford to go there as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for indulging.
Oh, great.
All right. Well, we're coming to the end. We've had you for a bit over an hour, so mate. As I said, I could talk for hours.
Right.
Maybe we just got to do another one at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah. Get me back on when you run out of other guests.
Yeah.
Next week you're on.
It's just a weekly episode of the three of us.
Just join you for the panel. Yeah, I'll drum up some business for you.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, no, mate, thanks for your time. And I'll have to make it not another 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Again. I know you speak to my brother a bit. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's great. He's great. So, no, it's been really good, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I hope you don't wait as long to invite me back again for the next one.
No, for sure. Mate, we might, yeah.
Good on you.
Definitely. So, yeah, thanks for coming on. We'll get it out in the next couple of days, but look, it will be on YouTube and Spotify as well. So we'll put it out on Instagram as soon as it comes out. But anyway, thank you for another awesome episode. And as I said, I could talk for hours. So, yep. Cue the music.
Shoes on deck, beer on ice, laced up clean, yeah, the vibe feels nice. Fuck you, Tony, said we wouldn't fly, now we running this mile high.
So, see you all next week.
Good on you. Thanks, fellas.